Hey guys, HierarchyGFX here, and today I've got a tutorial for you, but it's not just any regular tutorial. What I'm thinking about doing here is, since I have such a high amount of requests for doing a modeling tutorial, there's one slight problem, is that modeling is such a broad spectrum when it comes to modeling in Cinema 4D. It doesn't really matter what program, but Cinema 4D is what I'll be going over. Anyway, what I'm thinking about doing is doing episodes where I go over a bunch of, or one or two different things in Cinema 4D when it comes to modeling, and I'll do a whole series over that. I don't know what you guys think about that, but please let me know what you guys think. And so yeah, so this episode basically is going to be about selection tools and the use of selection tools and how you can use that in modeling. This is probably one of the most important things when it comes to modeling, and you want to make sure that you get it right. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to want to obviously get your render settings. For the format, I usually stick with PNG, simply because I can get a transparent background and it's easier for me to manipulate. That's my opinion, though. Some people might have a different way of doing it, but anyway, select PNG, and for the depth you're going to want 16-bit and have alpha and straight alpha enabled or clicked off. And for my width and height, I'm going to do 1920 by 1080 pixels with a resolution of, I don't know, maybe 200. And we'll go to our anti-aliasing and turn it to anti-aliasing to best, and the filter should actually keep the filter at cubic. Everything on here looks good, and believe it or not, I'm actually not going to ask you to add anything like global illumination, because I actually don't use global illumination very often. To me, it's just a waste of render time. If you know how to light correctly, which I'll go over in a different tutorial, then you'll be fine. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Be sure to save this to your desktop, so I'll just save this for the sake of the tutorial. I'll name it tutorial, save it to my desktop, and so there you go. Anyways, so here's our comp. Now, I'm just going to do this with a cube. You can do this with any object, but I'm going to do it with a cube. So I'm going to create a cube, and where this comes into play, where it's really interesting, is you need a certain amount of polygons to be able to select. So if we were to change this to an editable object, we'd only have, because this is a cube, we'd only have so many polygons. We'd only have, because there's only flat surfaces here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't know how to count. So what you want to do, and you don't need to do this with every object. Like, for example, if I were to select and pull out a sphere, you'll see that there already is polygons there. Those are these little squares and rectangles here. But since I'm doing it with a cube, I need to add some more polygons. So the way that you can do that is you just go over here into the object settings, and I'm going to change the segments to 4, I suppose, for the segments X, and for segments Y, and also 4. So we have a completely even object. All the squares are the exact same size all the way around because all the settings are the same. Now you're probably thinking, okay, well, what do I do from here? This is where selection tools come in hand. One thing that you can do here, the first thing that you always want to do is make sure that your object is the right size. If your object, if you want your object to be this big, then leave it that big. If you want it bigger for some reason, simply go up here, select this tool, the scale tool, and just drag. I'm going to keep it around this size, but sometimes when you make it bigger, your polygons will change and you may need to add more, you may need to take some away. It's a really personal preference at that point. Anyways, what you want to do after that is you want to make this an editable object. So in order to do that, you click on this, or click on your object, and then click over here where there's like the little world and the other object, and it basically changes it to an editable object. But click that, and now keep in mind, once you do this, you can't really go back until, except for right here, is if you Control Z, but you'll lose all your progress if you have to go all the way back. So make sure that you are ready when you're converting it to an editable object. But anyway, let's go on. And now that you've done that, you might notice that the only thing that changed is that this is different. This is just one single polygon object. But you can select different types of selection modes. Like for example, this selection mode is each flat surface or panel. And then this selection mode are the edges of said panels. And then this one is the points in between each panel. Usually the one that I use the most is the polygon mode or the panel selection mode. And you can select these panels here. So you can mess with this yourself. Just simply you can click and you'll select one, and in order to select another one while having this one selected, you just simply have to hold down shift and you'll select another. If you don't hold down shift, then you'll deselect that and reselect another one like that. But if you hold down shift, you can select multiple ones. But you might be thinking, oh well, that's going to take too long. What am I supposed to do if I want to select multiple ones at the same time? Well, there actually is several there are several tools that you can use to do that. Like loop selection is really helpful when it comes to modeling, because it'll select a loop basically around your object like this. So if I wanted to select the top and then hold down shift and select the bottom, now you have two selections. You can there's also another selection tool. There's the ring selection tool, which is pretty much the same thing. This just has a little bit different dynamics. You're not going to notice, there's not really going to be much of a difference on the cube, but on different objects it will react differently. Another selection tool would be the fill selection tool. This one's pretty obvious. You can select an entire fill, so you can select the entire thing, or if you want, you can select only a certain portion, or actually you can do a ring selection all the way around like that. And now when you choose the fill selection, it will choose everything but that, and then it'll use this as a separation, so, or as a divider, I guess you could call it. So I could select all of the bottom, and now I have all the bottom, but this very part isn't selected. And there's several other selection tools, but I think that you guys can figure it out. Another one that I use a lot, actually, that I want to go over is the live selection tool, which is also up here in the tool, or in the select area. And also you can get to these by just going up in the upper left hand corner and clicking select, and you have the loop selection, you have ring selection, outline, fill, and of course live selection. Live selection I use a lot because it's really versatile, and it's a kind of a paint mode almost. You can click and then drag, and see that little circle there? That circle, whatever that circle touches, it'll automatically highlight. And you don't have to hold down shift while you're dragging this, although if you let go, you do have to hold down shift. You want to keep selecting nodes. Also, you can deselect nodes by holding down shift, or actually when you have this selected, you have to hold down control and just click on the panels that you want to deselect, and you can deselect them. But now that we've gone over different selection tools, let's go over what you can do with them. One really important thing to know about selection tools, actually, I think I might have moved one of the polygons. That's okay. Yeah, I did move one of the polygons by accident. Okay, well that looks weird. I'm gonna have to recreate the cube now. Hang on, bear with me. Okay. So now that I have this redone, so what you can do is, let's just stick with the live selection because that's a good one to start with, and just, select some of the polygons here. I'll select all the ones down the middle like this, and those are the only ones I want to select. And what you can do is, once you have your selection, you can right click, and these 5 right here are all going to help you a whole bunch: bevel, extrude, extrude inner, matrix extrude, and smooth shift. All these do a number and can be used for a number of different things. Bevel, for example, if you select bevel, you are now using the bevel tool. So whatever you have selected here, if you click anywhere on the screen and then drag a little bit, don't drag it too fast or else you're going to overdo it, and just drag it a little bit and mess with it and see what that looks like. It will basically do what it says. It bevels it. It extrudes it slightly and then gives it a slant and bevels it. This isn't always going to look good if you do it from a flat space like that. If I render this out, see, that looks kind of weird. But once you get messing with it, it can look really cool. A lot of the times what I'll use is I'll do an extrude. And what extrude does is basically does exactly what it says. It extrudes it. It pulls those selections out, or it even pulls them in, like so. So if you wanted to make some kind of extrusion, or you wanted to do kind of a depth of field thing where it went in like that, and maybe you had some blur on the edges or something like that, you wanted to make a doorway, you could pull that in. Or you could, and you can also combine these tools as well. You could drag this out and then right click again while keeping that selected and then select bevel, and then now you have something dragged out that kind of, in my opinion, that imitates a rooftop. So if you were making a rooftop, that could work. And then you could also repeat that and do a pattern and do an extrude and another bevel and then another extrude and then another bevel, and then right there you have something pretty interesting. And you could always do that on the other side as well. And another cool tool that I use very rarely, but is a pretty cool tool to use, is the matrix extrude. Now I'm going to keep these polygons selected just so that you see what it does. And with each polygon here, so we have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 polygons total here. So each individual polygon is going to be extruded individually rather than all at once, and they're all going to go in opposite directions. So if I click and drag, or actually they're all going to go in the same direction with the settings that I have on here, but as you can see, they all extruded separately rather than all together. And this can be used in a number of different ways. You just have to be creative about it, and you can edit the settings down here. You can change the scale, you can change the rotation so they rotate in a different direction. That looks really weird. You can change them to rotate this way or this way, change them to rotate this way, make them spin. That looks quite odd. And really, guys, it's all about creativity. I'm just giving you the knowledge to be able to put your creativity to work. I know this was a quick tutorial. I know that maybe I didn't give enough information. Please let me know what you guys think. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to do little quick tips here and there. Please give me your ideas. If you want, if you need help with something, let me know in the comments section below, and I'll see if I can do a tutorial in my next episode for this series. Although, I will tell you guys now, while I do want to do this series a lot, if nobody is going to watch them or like them, then I am not going to make the series. So please, please, please get this video to, I don't know, let's say 55 likes, maybe even 60. If you guys get it to 60, then I'll super love you hardcore and give you a kiss. Okay, I won't give you a kiss, but that would be really cool if that happened. But anyway, get it to 55 likes, 60 likes, somewhere around there, and I will continue this series. Be sure to comment below, give me ideas for this, and I hope this helped you guys out. Also, expect a contest soon. I plan on putting up a contest now that Octane's recruitment challenge and everything is done. But yeah, anyway, I love you guys, and I hope this helped. Peace.